Hello there, you're listening to Zulimu's Thoughts and Nuts. How is life, everyone? I hope everyone's doing great and okay, although the world is like falling into chaos, or chaos is happening outside your houses, Well, the obvious one would be COVID is not going away, and I think that our next Raya, Aidilfitri, would be virtually, since we're not handling it properly, no matter which side of me. But congratulations and kudos to those who wear masks and keep on staying at home, because why? I'm that side where I take COVID seriously, to a point where going out is not something that I would love to do. To a point where my nose starts be like itchy, trying to say, Zol, I'm going to give you what we call a very fake flu. Placebo flu is placebo thing. A fake flu, to a point where your nose will start leaking and you will have a hard breathing. Yeah, it's an instant or automatic reaction whenever I have to go outside. That's how sensitive I am. And also, since we're talking about chaos, bloodshed is happening still. Palestinians are dying. I mean, it has been happening like ever since. But then, as I said, it's a good thing that everyone's starting to realize that the Palestinian-Israel case is like actually very, important. And not to be just disregard as if, oh, it's about religion. No, it's about human rights. It's about not killing people. It's about try not to be like, try not to be way too whatever lah. Because I don't really understand when people resort to violence or war. Because I remembered one time when in boarding school, the seniors, I don't know, they were bored lah. They were very bored. I was on the way to Surau. It was Asar, and somehow there was a seringgit on the ground. And me being me, because being in a boarding school where everything needs to be goody two shoes, my first thought was like trying to put the seringgit in the tabung surau. I mean, being the very naive me, I could have just left it, or I could just take it. I mean, that's me now. But then at the same time, if you're going with common sense, you just put it in the tabung or something. I don't know, like that. But then hey, that was my first idea, the first thought that I had at that time, which was pick it up, put it in the tabung surau. And then suddenly I did not realize the seniors were like laughing from surau, because I was like, the seringgit was outside surau and the seniors are inside the surau. Irony, because talk about behaviors. So, and that's when I realized, oh, they're pranking. They're thinking that, oh, I'm taking this seringgit for myself. No. And so I got so pissed that I yelled at them, but then they didn't give a damn, which was very, frustrating, because they did not even confront. I confronted them, but then they just ignored, which is like, wow. Talk about being older and mature than me. I was like Form 1, 13 years old. So being in a boarding school after 4, you would have like free time. And that free time, I went back to hostel being pissed. I did not know where or how to express or let the frustration. I don't know where should I point the frustration at. So I punched a wall. And well, at least it did not crack or something, but it hurt for a month. My knuckles hurt for a month. I did not know like if it cracked or not, but then no one gives a damn, and I was like driven with adrenaline and frustration and anger. Punched a wall, which kind of shook the whole. I mean, it did not shook the building; it shook the floor. Like everyone on the same floor. It was the second floor. Everyone could like hear bum. Imagine if you punch a wall and then you can hear a loud bum like that. You know how much energy and power is put through that punch. However, in the midst of being frustrated, I heard a story, like a friend of mine, someone, the same seniors, put like $50 in the middle of hostel. The hostel is shaped like a square, and like the middle is empty, and everyone can see from every floor. You can see the center. So the seniors were like, they put $50 in the middle of ground floor. So and then they were waiting who's going to take it. So this friend of mine, I mean, I like how the way he thinks, because he took it, he showed it to everyone who was like watching, and he ripped that $50 because hey, that's the best comeback that I could think of, actually. I mean, he could think of, and I think I should have done that. So, like, I mean, it may not seem as if it was for me or something, but then it felt justice was served, like something was proven, justice is proven or something. Like, you mess with us. I mean, it's like I said, it's not really the action of ripping that $50 was not done directly for a certain someone or for a certain group. It was done in general, and I was like, yep, that gave that proved something to the seniors. And yeah, that was a nice story, I guess. But hey, that is why I do not resort to like violence. Number one, because I do not know where I should be like punching, and also because since I'm not very expressive, like I cannot say or I cannot complain in front of people. I mean, if I'm doing it on my own, then boleh lah. But at the same time, if I'm doing it in front of people, people barely or rarely listen or hear, or like wow, Zoe, you talk about problems a lot in front of me. I mean, even if I have to like talk about problems with friends, it would be through messages. As much as it's not effective, but it's the only way that I can at least let out. Yeah. Other than that, since we're talking about chaos also, yeah, I guess this podcast would be about chaos and the negative things happening in the world. I mean, as I said, as much as people like say do not view the world too negatively, do not be too much of a pessimist, be a bit optimist, but then You can't have, you can't be like, be too optimistic about everything. You cannot be too pessimistic about, you cannot be too extreme in picking a side and choosing like which side of mindset you want to go. You pretty much be very subjective about it, because that's what makes us human. If you're pretty much very objective about it, you're a robot. Even robots can be a bit subjective. I mean, not technically. Yeah. Speaking of bloodsheds in the world, other than Israel Palestine, Myanmar is also under like going through a military coup. Like, you know, the military taking over the government. Although I always have this problem whenever talking about issue. First, that I would stutter, and second, I would have to give too much damns, or I would like trouble myself, like where did this start, and if I do start from this station or like event, and then I have to go through every single station of events. If not, if I miss a station of events, I would be like, did I talk about this? Did I miss this? Is this right? Is this wrong? I would like be very, troubled, because I know the responsibility of like talking about the truth or not missing out anything, a point especially, is very important when you're talking about issues. Unless it's a thought, like what are your impression, then it should be okay. But then I don't know. I think if I were to be like a newscaster, I would be the worst, I guess, because I would stutter if I was like on air, like breaking news, this happened, but then and then a sudden silence, because you know I would be troubled. Yeah, yeah, a lot of things are happening globally in other parts of the world. In a micro scale, I mean not micro scale, in a me scale, you know. uh I don't know what's my relationship with injuries, because injuries kept on coming to me without me either knowing, or sometimes, like for instance yesterday I was cooking beef stew. I was cutting tomatoes, and I accidentally cut myself. I mean, it's a small cut, but at the same time I was bleeding profusely, and I was the one who treated it, because I'm a capable guy of, not causing too much trouble to people, but would cause trouble to myself and treat it silently. That's one thing. And like another story of me being injured constantly is that, you know, about the toe, since going out seems impossible right now. So I choose, like, you know what? And also, like, regarding the toe, ingrown toenail, I can't do anything about it because the doctor said let it shrink, and I don't know if it like define shrink. If a flesh is coming out of your toe and then it's a flesh, how the hell are you going to shrink it? Are you going to drain it, or should I wait like for years or months? And so I do not know, like, what is a shrunk flesh in this case. So you know what? I'll just wait, because going out is impossible. If I go to a clinic, then it's gonna be kinda way too dangerous. Because my mom said someone ran away from hospital when they're in isolation. I don't know if that's true, because I did not hear about that. But then if it does, then wow. Congratulations, people. Not only the government is making it hard to flatten the curve to to reach a zero case COVID, we have stubborn people also. And also regarding if you're on Twitter and you've been following the Nilofa story where she went to Nilai to buy carpet. This is why some celebrities don't have brains, I guess. And they chose to hey, this is showbiz. And also, other than cutting myself or the toe, regarding the toe, if I stand too long, I know it will bleed. But hey, responsibility comes first. That's the society we're in. I mean, as much as we're not going out, I'm not going out also. But that's the idea of being responsible that we've been kinda, taught, and we have to suck it up. Oh, you're in pain. Guess what? You have work tomorrow. Go. And also, speaking of injuries that I keep on getting, I don't know why, whenever I clean or vacuum the house, mop, and etc., at the end of the cleaning duties, I would go to my room, and for some reason, I would feel ouch, it hurts on my shin, on my leg. And then so I checked. When I checked, I was bleeding. There's a scrape. When did that come from? Where and when? But then hey, as I said, as much as I'm bleeding, I'll still treat it myself because I'm a capable guy. That's, I don't know why. It's not really a good trait, because some people would say toxic masculinity, or it's okay to not be okay, or to be vulnerable. I tried that and it was not well received. I really also want to not be too much, oh, I can do this, or I can do that. Oh, leave it to me. I don't want to be that, because I also have things that I want to do. And like I said, I've done that. I've done the part where I try to be vulnerable and not well received, because the reaction that I got was oh, I was expecting you to help. I was depending on you, but okay. And here's the thing lah. If that's the first word, the first sentence that you're going to say, and even if the second sentence you're about to say, well, it's okay lah kot, you will remember the first sentence only. Or I would remember the first sentence only. And also I blame how most of our makcik-pakcik, auntie, uncle, or the society, or the old way of teaching, be take care of your family. They never, as much as every time they be visit you, and then at the end of the visit they'll be take care of your family, yeah. Walao. What about me? And also I know they do ask when in the very first moment they enter your house during the visit, and they're how's life? And as I said in the previous episode, we are not allowed to be okay. We were never allowed to. If we were, then pretty much they, for instance, when people say how's your life, what you're doing right now, the very expected answer that they were expecting answers oh, I'm working, oh, I'm okay, oh, I'm doing this and that, careers. As I said, I've done the I try to be vulnerable part. And the second reaction that I always get is, oh, why are you like that then? I mean, although it seems like as if they want you to elaborate, but the tone sounded more like, oh, you shouldn't be like that. You should be okay because you're better. You can do this, you can do that. And like disregarding someone's difficulties and then forcing them to be okay. As I say, as I said, it's toxic. But then hey, no one gives a damn. So, in the midst of those, what you call chaos, I also try to be like, you know what, I'm going to take a rest. Because why? I can be tired. Speaking of tired, recently I easily get tired with a single activity, and like, for instance, cooking. I mean, cooking is something that I've come to enjoy, but then once I finish cooking, I really need a sleep. No one bothers me. No one should bother me because it's just I mean, I just got tired. That's all. A simple explanation. I just got tired, or for going for groceries, or cleaning the house, or doing errands and stuff. I need to sleep afterwards, no matter what. Like a short 1 hour sleep. Because one thing that I realize is that I am very sensitive. I mean, I've realized this way long ago, but then at the same time, I've come to accept that I am a highly sensitive person. I am very aware of what people feel. I am very aware of the changes of, atmosphere, mood, or I would be like, you know, I'll be attentively giving or tending care, or for instance, if there's something wrong going on, I would know what to do. If I do not know, pretty much I would just bail. I'm very sensitive. But then hey, and to and I don't know if backing up uh the fact that I am very sensitive is very, plausible or whatever it is. It seems like it, because if you're into zodiacs, this is a very uh nonsense-ish kind of backing up with proof and etc. Blah blah blah. If you're into zodiacs, the most sensitive zodiac. I mean, there are a few, but then one of them is Cancer. I'm a Cancer. Cancer the crap. Soft on the inside, hard on the outside. That's the description, though. But there's, although like some people, if you're new to zodiacs, you would be like reading, oh, this zodiac is about me. But then, like, it's not just that. There's also like the rising, your Venus, your Mars, and everything. My moon, sun, and rising are all Cancer, meaning that I am a pure Cancer, which means I am very sensitive. I am, as I said, it's a very nonsense-ish to prove, because some people do not believe it, or like, that's bullshit. I mean, it's understandable because some people just do not take personality readings as like those kind of reactions. To me, I like reading personalities because it's very, for instance, if I'm going to meet new people, and then, hey, hi, how is it going? What's your name? What month were you born? Because if I know which month, or if I know your birth date, I would know what zodiac you're in, except for your rising and sun, moon, Mars, Venus, and everything. So to go back, as in the midst of the chaotic world, I tried to take a rest and then watch a movie or two. So I watched this live action movie, Rurouni Kenshin, or some people would know it as Samurai X. But it's a live action. It's not the anime or manga. I watched it because the actor, I got intrigued, like because he did his own action stunts, and I was like, ooh. And the thing about people who do their own stunts, I'm like, yes, I respect, because you're not depending too much on other people. I guess I have a thing for people who are capable. In the previous episode, I did an episode with Mariam, and we talked about character kins. In that episode I couldn't give a proper answer because I wasn't really watching it anything, because I was like, what was I doing? I forgot. I wasn't doing anything other than chores and errands. But then, yeah, I think this time I have a proper answer to it. In that, like, in the movie Rurouni Kenshin, as cringy as it may sound, I relate to the main character, Himura Kenshin, the main character lah. Why? Because if you've watched Samurai X or read the manga, and if you don't, and if you're planning not to, you may continue to listen, because if you're planning to watch it, spoiler alert. Yeah, spoiler alert, people. The main character, like because the setting of Rurouni Kenshin is like Meiji era, when Imperial, I think it was Imperial, they were like after a war, and then they were phasing into like Western-ish kind of era, and the main character was like a hitman kind of person. He kills people. It was that kind of era where assassination is a thing. I don't know if assassination is a thing now, because assassins are very secretive, and even if we do know, who are we going to assassinate other than ourselves? Lamau. Anyways, the main character, his backstory is that he is like an ex-hitman or assassin or batosai. After the war, he tried to leave that past, because it's depressing, it's dark, and it's very the kind where you do not want to do it anymore, because something happened, just like something hit you, like, why are we doing this kind of thing? Would killing people upper create peace kind of thing? That was his worries. So he left the killing life. Those era where samurai and everything, knives and what do you call katana and etc. Just swords and everything. His sword was very special. It's a sakabato, where when you use sword, the sharp end is facing outwards, yet the sharp part faces inwards, because he does not want to kill or injure anyone when using it. Although technically like philosophically lah, even if he cannot injure or attack, kill people, the sword would, you know, if it happens to hit him, or if it happens like touch him, he would cut himself. And I relate to that. I try not to give too much damn about the world, or not really the world lah. I try to not give too much damn about dramas and people, but then somehow the world is like, hey Zol, you should know about this. I mean, like, I try not to because, it's tiring when you're like, oh, I need to know about you. Oh, I want to know about this. When it's just pure problems and dramas. I mean, dramas was a thing in uni and high school, where I always be the middle guy. I mean, I wouldn't mind listening, but at the same time, if I have to like, hey man, what should I do? And it goes both genders. I'm I'll be the middleman, either or. And everything ends up not okay. It's bloody. It's not always okay. I mean, it's not bloody, literally. It's just pretty much the relationship ends up not okay. Everything just crumbles and cracks. So that explains why I have to jump from group to group or return to the previous groups. And so I try not to give about too much damns about people's relationship at that time. But some people just, they do not. First, I do not know the boundaries of not giving a damn. Like, at what point should I not give a damn? And also the boundaries where people should know, like, hey Zol, are you okay with helping me out? Something like that. Yeah. Another character that I like, kinda like, like, would be like a little bit relate. I mean, it's not really 100% relate, it's just the outlook, which I think is true. Also, once again, it's a bit cringy to admit to this character, because why? One of the villain, he smiles, he always smiles like but then he is very dangerous, like, because there was this one fight scene where he is in the middle of fight with the main character, and then he finds joy, like this is fun. And the contrast of like dangerous and then having a very smiley face is like, if those kind of characters are the type where you should not mess with those characters, because you fuck with them, they'll fuck you up real bad. Yeah, and I think that's a wee bit trait that I find myself relatable, because people do look at me like as if I'm very, oh, this guy is very shy. Oh, this guy is very weak, skinny. But you mess with me, I'll mess you up real bad. But then at the same time, I do not do that, because not that I'm incapable of doing so, but then I just do not want to waste my energy on such nonsense, because it's worthless. And I choose to, like, if you treat me like shit, I choose to, like, you know what, so long, sucker, because I do not want to be in contact with you anymore. Although for some reason the world is like, the forces of earth be like, hey Zol, remember this guy? Remember this girl? She messed you up real bad. And I'm going to, meet you, just as if it is not that attracted or something. Somehow crossing path is a thing. Yeah, that's something. I think that is all. But before I end, I think I want to do something. I was searching for like podcast challenge or podcast topics, and I realized that topics are general and subjective. If you're doing podcasts, the topics that you want to do are, up to you because you talk what you want to talk about. Or if you want to be impromptu, also like this particular episode, you can be impromptu. And also I was like searching for like, is there such thing as podcast challenge? When people do art, there's art challenge, Inktober, Mermaid, etc. October, about Inktober. Wait, what was that? Horror, Scaretober. Scaretober. They would like do first day this topic, second day this topic, third day this topic, and then I was like searching, is there such thing as podcast challenge? And there's none. There is none. So I'm not going to make it official yet. Even if it's official, who's going to follow again? Not yet. So I'm going to try to do this. The day of the recording is Tuesday 2 a.m. So pretty much I'll put this on Tuesday or Wednesday depending on how fast I edit. And I'll try this. I'm going to challenge myself to put 7 episodes in 7 days straight. And if that goes well, if that really goes well, and if I manage to put up 7 episodes in a week straight, I would start slowly, gradually to a month, 30 days topic podcast non-stop. Macam radio-ish. It's not really radio, it's just podcast. But then I'm putting up in a very non-stop punya sequence, which I think would be interesting and tiring for me lah kot. But then, I'll just try because COVID is not going anywhere and I'm stuck in my own house, and podcast is something that I can do, although I can do some animation or something. But then, you know what, let's do podcast first. Let's focus on one thing because it's something that I've come to like. Yeah. Although I put a disclaimer for the challenge is that I would not talk about issues too much because it would give a hard time for me because I would stutter. I would have a hard time talking about it because I would be troubled about having to I know I should be including a lot of points and timelines events, but then at the same time I would be mentally drained because the chaos happenings in the world are so sudden and non-stop to a point where you cannot catch it. Like for instance, it would be better if you do live repost on Insta or live tweet on Twitter, because that way you won't miss a thing. However, if you're doing podcasts, it's like you record first and then you do a little bit of tweaking and then you put it up on what you call the internet. So yes, I'll try to do the challenge on my own because hey, it's fun in a way and I have nothing else to do for myself. So yes, I guess that is all about it. That's all from Zoli Moli's Thoughts and Knots. This is a podcast, okay? It has been nice time.